Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by ParaSight Systems. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and I hope that you're having a great day. If you are driving and listening to our podcast, please keep both eyes on the road and both hands on the wheel. We want to keep you safe, and we want you to enjoy this podcast as you log your mile. Today I'm recording in Taylorsville, Kentucky, and we have on the phone the 23-time IPRA World Champion, Mr. Shawn Miner. And today we're going to continue our conversation that we started on our first episode. So please welcome back to the show, Mr. Shawn Miner. Shawn, great to have you back on. How are you?
You bet. Thanks for having me. I'm good.
Yeah?
Same thing as I was last time we talked. Still driving.
Still driving. So both hands, this goes for you, hands-free hands-free listening, right? Hands-free speaking. Both hands on the wheel.
Safety first. That's me.
Safety first, eyes up, all that sort of thing. Well, great to have you on the show. Where are you right now, and where are you headed?
We're in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we're headed to Salt Lake City, Utah.
To Utah. Okay. And you're with the family, I take it?
I got both my boys with me.
Okay.
Kole and Tate. Yep.
Okay. Are they able to hear this whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Hello, boys. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
We are good. I am good. Thank you. So last time we talked, Shawn, we talked about growing up on 38,000 acres, about it being 14 miles from the north border to the south border of your ranch, 2,300 head of cows, 5 full-time cowboys, hands that helped your dad. You talked about a cattle drive at 13, moving 1,500 head of cattle, about 56 miles. You talk Little Britches Rodeo, college rodeo at TWC in Snyder, Texas. And we just got into the conversation of you then moving your third year to Southwestern Oklahoma State University to join their rodeo team. And before we get there, before we pick that up and go a little bit further, you had mentioned to me after our call last time that your great-grandfather had surveyed some land up around Hyannis, Nebraska, up around Ogallala. Can you talk a little bit about what that survey was for?
Yeah. They somehow or another, I guess it was probably before phones and landlines and all that kind of stuff, but somehow or another he got the job of surveying the land for the Lake McConaughey. So it's basically what it was is they built the dam, and there was an actual town in the bottom of that valley, and he went down there, rode down there. I'm guessing I should know right off the top of my head. I think it was about 65 miles or so.
Oh, wow.
He rode down there and surveyed the land, and then they started building the dam, and that's how Lake McConaughey come about.
Okay. Sounds like that could be a dangerous job, riding into town to survey the land, because we're going to flood you all out. You're going to be at the bottom of a lake at some point.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. About I'm guessing 25 years ago, we'd had a bad drought out there, and the water was so low at one point you could see the cross on the church sticking out of the water.
Okay.
And I actually got to see that one time. I'd hate to guess how many years ago it was. 25, I'll bet, years ago.
Yeah.
So it was pretty neat.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. And one other thing you mentioned to me, and that's a bit of history you just recorded there, surveying the town before it gets flooded. 7 years old, you started, was that kind of your first real job? And I believe you got paid for working in the hayfield.
Yep. I run a Super C with a sweep on it, and we'd sweep hay.
Okay.
And I'd bunch hay and stuff, and it was just an old, 4-speed Super C. And I remember getting so tired that you couldn't even see straight, let alone drive that tractor, because it sure didn't have power steering.
Yeah.
And it was an old tricycle wheel.
Yeah.
So you'd hit the wrong rut or whatever, and it just spin that steering wheel out of your hands and slap the top of your hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, man, I hate haying.
Well, at 7 years old, could you even really reach the clutch pedal and the brake pedal very well?
Well, you never sat fully in the seat. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Sat on the edge of it, and and then you had to use all your body strength pulling on the steering wheel just to push the clutch in.
Yep.
And it was a challenge, but looking back, it didn't hurt me.
Right. But no seat belt, no overhead guard. I don't even think that was a Farmall Super C, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did it even have fenders by the back wheel?
You know what? It seems like it did. I remember it was dualed. It had regular set of tires on it, and then they had a set of tires for the outside duals that were about 2 inches shorter.
Oh, okay.
So the duals didn't work until you started sinking.
I see. Okay.
And so yeah, but it had just fenders, but they didn't go up over the tires. They were just so you couldn't fall into them.
Right. All right.
So
last time we talked, you talked about West Texas College and the rodeo team out there, Snyder, Texas. You then said you transferred to be part of the rodeo team at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Tell us a little bit about those years down there.
That was really some of the funnest years I had. It was like my roommates were a lot of fun. Davy Shields me and Davy Shields were actually roommates for about 3 years, all through college, and then we rodeoed together, and so it was a lot of fun. We had a welding job, and anytime I wasn't on the road, man, I was welding and working and stuff, but it was a lot of fun there. It was a lot more centrally located to the rodeo from, rather than, clear south of Lubbock, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it was a lot better for me.
And were you still working on welding? I know that's what you went to West Texas College for. Were you still, your major was welding, or?
Yeah, actually, when I went to Weatherford, I didn't go for college.
Oh, you didn't?
No, they wanted me to go rodeo for them, and I was like, all right, as long as I don't have to go to school, I'll come rodeo for you.
Yeah.
And and back then, them guys had enough pull. A lot of the football players were in the rodeo coaches classes, and a whole bunch of us guys that were just there to rodeo.
Yeah.
We were in the football coaches classes, and they took care of each other that way.
Oh, I see.
They had me in classes like underwater basket weaving and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
They made up stuff, for us to go to, and so it was a lot of fun, for me, because, well, for one, I'd already had my schooling, and I sure didn't want to, have to sit in a classroom anymore, but I wanted to rodeo for them, and it ended up being good. We had some great years there. I think pretty sure I won the all around that year, and maybe the bareback riding. I can't even remember, man. That's been a long time ago.
Okay.
But I know I got a saddle from winning the all around for sure. So.
Okay. Would that have been in '97, and would that have been the Central Plains, or was the Central Plains?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It would have been in '97. 97 and 98, I believe.
Okay.
Is when I went there. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. Around in there somewhere. I can't remember.
Okay.
We're getting along. We're getting a long time ago now.
I know. Well, I did read that you won the all around in the Central Plains, and again, that was college rodeo, right? And that was in
Right.
'97.
Yep.
Okay. And 2 years before that, you had bought your PRC permit, so 1995. You filled it and then bought your card in '96, your PRCA card. Talk a little bit about that. Were you able to, while you're college rodeoing, are you still riding PRCA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They didn't care back then, that you could college rodeo and you could PRCA rodeo and so we were going, geez, I went all over Western Canada, before I even knew what Quebec was.
Really? You traveled up
Yeah.
to Western Canada? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We went to, and I,
Oops, hold on. Here. Hold on.
Luxton.
Start again here. You're breaking up just a little bit.
Oh, am I? I'm right downtown Indianapolis.
Okay.
Maybe there's too many people here.
Maybe. Well, you're back now. So talk a little bit about Western Canada, where you went and what you did.
Yeah, there was one time we went to a rodeo called, the name of it was Luxton.
Luxton.
Yeah, British Columbia. And it was really cool because we went to it, and to get to it, you had to get on a ferry and ride the ferry for about, I think it was almost 2 hours out into these islands and stuff out in the middle of the ocean, basically. And we had to ride there, and there were only two ferries to come back. And so as soon as we got done riding, man, we were packed our stuff and we were gone.
Yeah.
Get back on, to jump on that ferry to go back to Cloverdale. And that, for me, that was a really cool experience, something that I'd never got to do. Float into an island, into a town.
Yeah.
Total of 2 hours and you're gone again,
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, but
that is cool.
I got to see a lot of stuff that, most people would actually pay to go on vacation to see, and we were working.
You bet. And when you were up in that area, did you get into Alberta and some other of the provinces up there besides BC?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to, I entered Calgary, I think 6-7 years in a row there, all through the 90s, all through up until 02, I believe. So I went 6 or 7 times. I can't remember. Back then, I think I missed a year because back then, it was kind of on a money, like a money deal where you had to have a certain amount of money won in Canada to get to go to Calgary and stuff. There was a couple of years, like 1 or 2 years, that I didn't get to go because I didn't go to any rodeos up there.
Okay.
But I think I went to Calgary like six years, six different years. Yeah.
So you were basically riding the PRCA from 95 until 2003, maybe?
Yeah. And 02, I guess. And I had my PRCA card, all through probably till, I don't know, 2010, probably.
Okay.
I just didn't go.
Yeah.
I was too busy with the IPRA by then.
Okay. So let's talk about transitioning, or how did you find the IPRA and when did you find it?
Well, me and Davey Shields, we went to the bucking horse sale in Oklahoma City, and we weren't doing nothing, just having a few beers and whatever, and the deal got over, and David said, well, we're here, we might as well watch the first perf. I said, what is this deal anyways? He says, I don't know, IPRA or something. I said, I ain't never heard of it. Let's go watch it. And because at the time, Ford and Jet, we went to college with them. Well, actually, we knew them from college because, they were quite a little younger than me. But but anyways, we were still living in Weatherford, and they were there in college by then, and whatever. So, anyways, I watched Cord win like, I don't know, 9 or 10,000 that night, that first perf.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at Davey and I kind of elbowed him and I go, I bet I could do that.
Right.
And he goes, I dare you.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And that was in January. So in May, or I don't know, maybe, I can't remember. It seems, I don't know, a month later or so whatever, I bought my card.
Okay.
And I caught rides to Huntsville, Alabama, Longhorn deal. And then I went to one after that, somewhere, I don't even remember, Mississippi or something. And they were pretty hard on me. And I was like, man, I don't know about this IPRA deal. These guys are kind of stuck on their own guys, I think.
Okay.
And it was really weird because I went to these 2 rodeos and I got on the exact same 2 horses. And I was like, man, this is weird. And the bareback horse I got on was not very rider friendly.
Yeah.
And I kind of had my way with that horse both times, and it was a whole lot of work wrapped up in a bay sack, to be real honest. And I thought, man, if a guy, spurs one like that,
mm-hmm.
and he wins 6th,
mm-hmm.
and you watch what won first.
Yeah.
I don't know how much fun this association's going to be.
Okay.
So, I don't know. And I was home, I was working and stuff and living in Weatherford. And right after that, I don't know, in April, the rodeo started kind of, I don't know, they started putting them on and stuff. The outdoor rodeos are right around Oklahoma. And so I entered Owasso, Oklahoma, and I got on a horse of David Bailey's that I think it went to the NFR once. This horse was getting a little older, and anyways, I'll make a long story short. I won the bareback riding by like 9 points, and I was like, okay, maybe they'll accept me now.
Yeah.
And after that, then it was just I entered them, I entered them like how I work. I just go, balls to the walls, basically.
Yeah.
And I ended up, a friend of mine, I've known him my whole life, Corey Evans, he was winning the world that year. And he had probably $15,000 on me, and ended up, I caught him at the finals and beat him. And so I won my first IPRA bareback riding world title in 2003.
Yeah.
The first year I won it.
Yeah.
The first year I had my card, I won it. So.
Yeah. So that was your rookie season. You were Rookie of the Year. And according to what I've got in front of me here in 2003, yes, bareback bronc ride champion. So what stands out for you at that first finals where you had to close $15,000 in gap between you and Corey Evans?
Well, it was a lot of fun for me because by that time, my old buddy Roger LaCasse from Quebec, he was there too. So every round it was just me and him, fist fighting one another, and it was so much fun. The first night he was 86, I was 83. The next night, I think, I don't know, it flip-flopped back and forth, and it ended up where Corey, he's a bad diabetic. He's got a pump on him, he's had it for years, and it just got him wore down, and he didn't draw that good, and he didn't ride that good, and I just kind of, I don't know, I want to say I just lucked out and ended up catching him because I don't think he won hardly anything. And I just had a really good finals and worked out in my favor, but it was a lot of fun for me. And when you're second place, there's no pressure on you.
Right.
Right. You're just there to have fun, and that's what I did. And that's kind of the way I always looked at it anyways. But
Yeah, and you alluded to that last time we spoke about how do you quiet yourself to be able to ride? How do you really focus on the job at hand? And how do you take that pressure and turn it into, you described it as turn it into adrenaline or drive or heart or whatever it may be. One of
right,
the concepts that I've heard a lot about is a concept of being in the zone.
right.
Okay. Do you remember? I mean, do you have experiences of being in the zone while you were riding? Any one or two or whatever stand out for you?
Well, no, there was a lot.
Okay.
You know, there was a lot of them. Really, I mean, people can take that pressure and let it get to them, or they can use it to their advantage. You know, and by the time I'd gotten to the IPRA, that the whole pressure game with me was gone. You know, because I'd been in some fairly high pressure situations where things come right down to that last horse. Just say for example, I can remember the reason why I won the all around in that Central Plains region. It come down to the last saddle bronc, and to be real honest with you, that was a lot of pressure for me because I was a bareback rider that got on saddle broncs.
Right.
And it was nothing for me to get dusted in the bronc riding.
Really? Okay.
And so it come right down to that last horse, and I just turned it into, well, let's just have fun with it. And really it if you have that ability to turn the pressure into something good instead of letting the pressure get to you, something positive and have fun, and just get, the pressure should just get your motor running and not make you crumble.
Yeah.
Basically, which a lot of guys do. I've seen it over the years happen to a lot of them.
Okay.
But that's kind of what I would do. I just, if you think about it, it's you and that horse. It's not you against someone. It's the horse you're getting on, and it doesn't matter. Anything else doesn't matter as long as you do your job. You're probably gonna prevail.
Yeah. And circling back to Roger LaCasse, you said that you battled with him. Had you met Roger before? He had a Canadian bareback rider, and I think he had competed for quite a bit in Western Canada. Had you come across him before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He come and stayed at my apartment in Snyder, Texas.
Okay.
When them guys were rodeoing and stuff, they'd all stopped in there because I can't remember who he was traveling with at the time. He wasn't traveling with Chris Harris at the time. He was maybe Brian Hawk.
Okay.
I can't remember for sure, but them guys stopped in there and they hung out at our apartment for a couple days, and that's how I got to know him. And then of course after that, then I went to Canada and was rodeoing up there with Davey.
Okay. And battling with him in the finals, you knew him, and I like to tie that back to it's me against the horse, not me against Roger. Was that the mindset all the way through?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because me and Roger we'd high five each other coming out of the arena and stuff. It wasn't me against him.
Yeah.
It was just two older guys having fun, basically.
Okay.
That's what it boiled down to.
Yeah. And did the judging and everything ultimately come around, Shawn, to where you felt you got your fair shot?
Yeah, it did. I don't know. It's when there's something that's judged by a human, there's going to be mistakes no matter what. I don't care if I'm judging or who's judging? You know, there's going to be mistakes, and it, you know, it, whether they like you or not, they got to they better treat you fair. They ain't going to have a job.
Right. Okay. Good.
But it come around, you know, it come around to where, you know, everybody thought I was getting loaded because of my name.
Sure.
You know, so I went from one extreme to the next, you know, from thinking, man, I just got screwed. Holy crap, they just loaded me.
Right.
You know, so it's all a circle.
Yeah. All goes round and round. The other thing that you had said, you're a bareback rider who gets on saddle bronc rider on saddle bronc. Okay. When did that change? 'Cause I know you won 4 saddle bronc riding world championships. Did that ever change? Did you ever get confident? Did you ever go, yeah, this is cool. This is where I want to be on the bronc riding, saddle bronc riding?
Yeah. I don't remember what year it was. But I'd been through 3 or 4 saddles that one year, and I finally got Todd Leftwich. I called him and I said, would you build me a saddle? I said, the one I'm riding is broken about 14 places. And he said, absolutely. He said, you need a saddle? He said, I'll send you the one I've been riding. Because I'd sat in his saddle one other time, and I was like, man, that thing feels good. And it was his own design, his own tree, and everything. And I really have no idea what year this even was, but that saddle took me from feeling like, you know, I'm going to win a check to I can win first.
So the confidence in the saddle, the way it felt.
Yep, exactly. Because it was just, bronc riding was just another event for me, and for the longest time, I never really even took it that serious.
Okay.
I'd win checks and whatever, and I was like, well, that's just a bonus. And then when I started taking it serious is when I started, you know, I don't know, won 4 world titles in that one saddle.
Okay. So, all of them won in that one saddle. Very nice.
Yeah.
So last time we talked, I said, okay, there's a you know, a lot of cowboys will say 90%, you know, mental. You said you thought it was an 80-20 split. 80% mental, 20%, and the 20% heart, drive, and that sort of thing. So what percentage is equipment? And you just pointed to, I mean, where you go from, well, I think I can win a check to, no, I can win this particular event because of the confidence of the saddle. So what percentage is your equipment, would you say?
That's, you know, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you say you're riding in a rigging that's wore out, flat, you know, the handle's twisting in it, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a jillion things that can go wrong with them riggings. You know, 9 times out of 10, your hand ain't going to stay in, and you're not going to win nothing.
Okay.
So you got to have good equipment.
Yeah.
As far as it's the same with the bronc saddles, you know, geez, there's, I don't know how many different kinds of saddles out there that, you know, that a guy can pick from, but there's guys that would have a brand new saddle, and these are friends of mine that I'm not going to name names, but there were some of them, you know, they were 86 points last night, and we get to the next rodeo, and they're like, sit in my saddle, see what you think of it. I'm like, why don't you just leave it alone?
Yeah. Right.
Right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
Yeah.
And they would fight them. But yeah, I mean, your equipment is, you got to have good equipment no matter what. I don't care what anyone says. You got to have a rigging that's, you know, I never rode probably 40 barebacks at the most with one rigging.
Really?
And then I'd get a new one.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that was just part of the practice. However, it looks like you rode in that bronc saddle for about 8 years, more,
right,
or more.
Yep.
Okay.
And that saddle, it never changed.
Okay.
It never, you know, I use the same leathers, the same everything. on it. I never touched anything. I'm like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it, to this day, that saddle's in the nose of this trailer headed to Utah.
Okay.
Just for a spare for Tate.
Okay.
And it is it's still got the exact same leathers. It's still set up exactly the same as it was the last time I rode it.
Yeah, really? Okay. Okay. So the binds and everything are set exactly like you last was on?
Yep.
I'll be done.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. And then moving on, you in 2004 championship year, you win the bareback riding again in the IPRA, the World Championship, and you pick up your first all-around champion. What do you remember about that first all-around belt buckle?
I don't know. That's the only one I ever wear too.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's the one I wear all the time. So for me, it was never, I never set out to do that. Like I never set out to win a world title of any kind. For this reason being, don't set yourself up for disappointment or failure.
Okay.
I'd said, years before, is all I had in my head was NFR. I'm going to go, I'm going to make the NFR.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know, I come close a couple times and stuff, and it just injuries and whatever would get in my way. And well, that was just setting myself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
So I don't know what year it was. I'm guessing probably 2099 or 2000 or something. I went back to basically the basics of the game.
Okay.
Ride every horse you get on to the best of your ability, and where that takes you at the end of the year, if that means you made the NFR or won a world title in the IPRA or whatever, you've done the best you could do.
Okay. Okay.
And, I've been asked that 100 times in interviews, after the finals and stuff, and they'd say stuff like, so your goal for next year is win a world, win the IPRA, the bareback riding, the bronc riding, all around, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, not at all.
No.
They're like, what? And I'm like, no, I don't think like that, And every one of the people doing the interviews, they'd look at me and scowl and be like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't look at stuff like that,
Okay.
And so that way, if you get hurt or whatever, that's part of rodeo. That's part of life. That's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And life goes on.
Yeah.
You heal up and you start over.
Yeah. So in '99, back to the basics. That was your theme, and that was what you said you're going to do. Falls where it falls, you said. What did that change in your mindset? What did that do for you? Yeah.
It really took the pressure off of me. And that's my own pressure that I would put on myself to do the very best I could possibly do. And then at the end of the year, not make my goal.
Yeah.
So when I switched them goals around to my goal is to ride every horse I get on the very best of my ability, it basically, it took the pressure off of myself.
Okay.
Because I had a certain standard for myself that if I it didn't matter what horse it was, whether it was a big eliminator or, a little hopper.
Yeah.
If, I rode them to the best of my ability, then I was satisfied with myself.
Okay. And speaking of that, riding to the best of your ability and so forth, did you ever get on cold streaks?
Yeah. Not so much in the bareback riding, but I'd hit some brick walls in the bronc riding before I got that saddle.
Oh, okay.
I went through, I don't know, she's probably 10 dolls. And then I went to the G-Bar Gs. I went to a G-Bar G Gold, a G-Bar G2. I had them all. And man, I to be honest with you, I had a hell of a time. And you know, I was always taught to, you know, ride through it. Okay. You know, you got to ride. You know, you got to keep riding and keep going, and which I did. And but yeah, I mean, I'd have some streaks where in the bronc riding, especially, where I'd just be fighting them saddles and it's like, man, I don't know when I'm gonna, you know, ride through this slump, but it's getting old.
Yeah. And
so
at that
time, you know.
Yeah, and at that time you're traveling a bunch, ton of hours on the road, ton of miles. One of the things I'd heard was the ability to learning how to ride tired.
Yeah, tired, sore. The way I look at it, if you can't put it aside for 8 seconds, or in my case, 16 seconds, you're not very tough.
Okay.
You know, you need to go get you a croquet. You know, go play some croquet or some volleyball or something, because rodeo's not for you.
Right.
And you know, so because like through the summer, you know, you go to all them one-day rodeos in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, and then as soon as I was done with whatever rodeo I was at on Thursday, I would drive 10, 12, 14 hours to Ontario or Quebec, and I went to all them good rodeos. And then Sunday, as soon as I was done, I would all night it back to a one-dayer somewhere, you know, on Monday night.
Okay.
And I did most of that stuff, you know. Well, my boys were pretty little when I was doing all that, so I would take off and go to Canada a lot by myself. And then when I got back into the States, then I'd pick everybody up and, you know, take them rodeoing, because both of my boys were rodeoing by the time they were 2 weeks old.
Oh, they were traveling with you.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So 6 hour trip, no big deal for these guys.
No. They look at me and they're like, it's only 6 hours.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah,
big deal.
All right, let's roll.
So this time you're talking about when you're doing Canada and you're all over the Midwest, Illinois, Kentucky, etc. Were you headquartered in? Were you living still in Weatherford, Oklahoma?
No, I moved to Ohio in 2004, I think.
Oh, okay. So okay.
Or maybe even 2003. Might have moved to Ohio in 2003 or 2004, right in there somewhere. Like in the fall of 2003, I think I moved. And then, you know, geez, then I was like, holy crap, all the rodeos are right here.
Yeah.
You know, so I, you know, go to the one-dayers, and then I'd sneak off and go see Sam, and then go to Canada or whatever, you know, BJ and Sylvan and all them guys. And you know, I can't remember how many minivans I went through.
Yeah.
And rent cars and you know, they got to where they didn't want to rent me a car no more, because they had Alamo had unlimited miles, and they just couldn't believe that you could put 3,000 miles on one in 3 days.
You're
I'm
right.
like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Piece of cake. Absolutely. At the time, was this your full-time job? I mean, year-round, maybe slowed up in the winter, but you still had building rodeos and finals and stuff like that to get to.
Sure. Yeah. I had a real job, a real welding job. I think Kole was like 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and welded. We worked 410s, and we did all these, you know, high pressure welds and stuff. We were actually put in a new cooling system at a shingle factory. And so I'd work 410s Monday through Thursday, and then as soon as I got home from work, man, we was headed south, and we go see Ken Treadway and Bubba and all them guys down south, and on the weekends, and then as soon as we was done, we'd skinner back home, and I'd go back to work, and really for a guy like me, that real job just made you ride better.
Did it? Okay.
It would make you try harder and stuff. But really, I've been self-employed other than that, and I only worked that job about 6 months, I think, something like that, and it was just through the winter.
Yeah.
And they kept wanting to send me off on these outages to Alabama, for 3 weeks at a time, and I wouldn't leave my kids, so. Okay. I was like, I ain't doing it, and they were running out of work around us and stuff. And I was like, well, sorry guys, but I'm staying with my kids and I'll just keep rodeoing. And so that's what I did.
And looking at your stats, and we're going to go to a little bit of your stats here. In 2006, championship year, so the summer of 2006, you kicked off on a 9-year run of winning the all-around championship in the International Professional Rodeo Association, which got you your full 10 championships there. 2 years, 2009, and again in 2013, you won all 3 events. You won 2 of the events, bareback and saddle bronc, and the all-around point championship, so that trifecta, if you will. What stands out for you? Were you doing something different in 2009 and 2013? Going harder? What yeah.
Both of those years. Mm-hmm. So in 2008, I had rumors that guys were coming to get me, and they were out to get me, going to beat me and whatever. And I'm like, all right, better start entering.
Right.
And,
right.
And so they did, and I can't even remember all the details of 2009, but I'm pretty sure in 2009, they couldn't touch me in the all around or the bareback riding. And I know for a fact in 2013 that I couldn't be touched, and I don't think they could have caught me in all 3.
No, I believe that's right.
But instead of me, saying anything to them, I shut them up that way.
Well, and you did, and I'm looking at the stats here. So you win the bareback bronc riding championship for the world, the saddle bronc riding championship for the world, the all-around championship. In the bareback riding that year, you won $50,000, at that time a record. In the saddle bronc riding, you won $42,000. And I think to your point of shutting them up, you won the average in the bareback riding at the International Finals Rodeo and the all-around in the finals that same year. So a big statement year. So next time if they're coming to get you, if I'm coming to get you, Shawn, I'm probably going to be quiet about it.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know what set me off, because there was always somebody saying that shit,
Yeah.
Sorry about cussing, but there's always somebody saying that stuff, and I don't know, for some reason those years they just set me off, and instead of arguing with them or telling them anything, I'm just like, well, they better get to entering then, because I'm in a rodeo.
Yeah.
And, and I don't know, it just separates the men from the boys. And to me anyways,
Yeah.
If you can't put your money where your mouth is, you probably ought to just shut up.
Right. So even though in 99 you said it falls where it falls, the pressure changes, each ride speaks for itself, was there an additional incentive that particular year when the talk was going on around? Did it turn it up just a bit?
No, not really. I mean, that in 99, I had went to San Antonio, and I think I won second in the first round at San Antonio in the bareback ride, and then the second round, I had a horse. I can't remember what happened for sure. Got a re-ride, and they run him right back in. I mean, I barely had time to take my glove off and put it back on, and Daryl Chilak and Davey Shields, I was traveling with them guys, and I'll never forget the horse's name was Torpedo of Westerns. They said just stay back and have fun, and I was like, all right. And so anyways, this horse really bucked, and I ended up winning the second round. I think I was 83 again, and so going into the short round, I was like 9 points ahead of everybody.
Okay.
Going in the short round at San Antonio, and I ended up, I had Red Cloud Skull of Serbies, and he was pretty bad to stall. And he was an old horse, you know, he's an old eliminator. He'd been to the NFR a bunch of times, and well, he stalled once, and they opened the gate, and he stalled, and then they slammed the gate, opened it again, and he stalled. But old Serby, he jumped up there and hit him with a hot shot.
Oh, wow.
And he run me down the gate. And as soon as we got past the end of the gate, of course, I reached up there and marked him out. And it was a battle between me and that horse. I was sure happy when the whistle blew. I remember that.
Yeah.
And so they threw the flag on me. And there was a judge that about got whipped over that deal and stuff. But I joked with Kelly Wardell all the time that he's got my buckle because he ended up winning. He won San Antonio that day. He had old Chester Skull Bandit.
Oh, wow.
And he earned it. And right after that, you know, I was like fourth in the world in the PRCA. I'd won a bunch at Rapid City, and you know, won a bunch at San Antonio. That was a year that Fort Worth had a $10,000 one header. I won it. I won like 7,000 out of there. So I was really kicking butt, and you know, just had my sights set on the NFR. And come around May, you know, we go to Cloverdale, BC, and I get on one of Kessler's that everybody told me not to because he was pretty bad eliminator, and I went ahead and got on him anyways, and that's when, I don't know, about the fifth jump, he just destroyed my elbow. And I got him rode and stuff, and I got off, and I knew my arm didn't feel very good. And I thought, well, you know, through May, I'm going to go home and brand and let this thing heal up a little bit. I got a pretty good jump on everyone before the summer starts. And I didn't go to a rodeo until Reno.
Oh, wow.
And my arm still wasn't right. And it was kind of one of them transitioning periods in my head and in my life where, you know, the knowing is all I got to do is just keep going, and I'll make the NFR, to, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it because I can't ride right because my elbow is so screwed up, you know. And so it was a transitioning deal for me where I think more maturity than anything, you know, being disappointed and knowing in the back of your mind that your arm ain't right, but you're still going and you're trying to battle through the pain and stuff. Well, it ended up, I'd won a bunch. I got on commotion at Greeley that year, and we shot my elbow full of cortisone, and that lasted for about 15 minutes right before I nodded my head, and of course then it hurt again. But I got commotion road, and I think I won the round or second round or something on him, and then ended up second overall. And then I didn't win a check again until I don't think I want another check. And then once we got to Pendleton, I went and rode there, and then I'm like, I'm done, because I was already, 19th or 20th or something by then, and it was all because of that elbow. Because I was turning horses out that normally I'd go get on, but I knew that as soon as they yanked on me, I was done. So that was kind of a turning point for me, and the way my outlook and the way I looked at rodeo and my life basically. I was like, because I was really disappointed, and I was like, man, I got to start looking at this stuff differently, and I did. And once I got that stuck in my head that I'm going to ride every one of them as good as I can possibly ride, instead of setting big goals for myself to be disappointed, that was a big turning point in my career as far as how I looked at stuff, and I went from being, kind of a wild child that made quite a little money riding bucking horses to turning it into a business, and and winning world titles and making a living at it, So that was kind of my turning point in my life where it all kind of come together.
And that makes sense. That gives a little more basis to what you had talked about earlier. So thank you for that. And talk a little bit about the elbow injury. Did it healed up? You were fine? Do you wear a brace, or did you wear a brace when you were competing after that?
No, I didn't go anywhere after Pendleton. I just went home. I went home and preconditioned cattle and helped preg check, and my dad really didn't need me. So then again, I got hired to go to Oklahoma to take care of a whole bunch of wheat cattle down there in Weatherford. So I went down there, and my elbow wasn't getting any better. I knew it wasn't, and but in order to use that insurance, you got to go to a rodeo and use it. So I entered Denver. I think that had been in 2000. Or been the winter of 2000, I think. And I entered Denver. Went and got on my first horse, and my elbow was definitely not better. I think, if anything, it was worse. Oh. And so then we go to the Cowboy Downhill, and we went skiing and stuff, and I got back to the top of the hill there, and I seen Tandy Freeman, and I said, hey, Tandy, I said, I'll buy you a beer when we get to the bottom of the hill if you look at my elbow. And he goes, sure, no problem. So we skied to the bottom of the hill down there, and we got to the deal there. I bought him a beer, and I took my coat off and rolled my sleeve up on my arm, and he goes, holy, I ain't even going to say what he said. Oh, wow. He goes, that can't be. He said, are you trying to ride with that? And yeah. I'm like, well, yeah. He goes, Jesus. Yeah. And he said, are you entered in Fort Worth? And I said, yeah. And I said, that towards the middle of next week. And he goes, well, he said, when you get down there, he said, I'll be there. And he said, we'll take some x-rays of it, whatever. And I was like, all right. So we did. And sure enough, it was. What had happened was it tore muscle away from the bone, and then some of the muscle had tore pieces of the bone away too, and it bled, and then it clotted and calcified and turned into bone. And it was just a wreck. Wow. And table, I don't know, the next week, and he said he took a sawzall and cut off that chunk of bone that was on the backside of it. And he said, I got a full baby jar, one of them baby food jars full of your, all the bone chips and everything that was in the middle of my elbow. And he's like, don't use it for he said, don't ride anything for like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And he said, but he said, use it. He said, just don't ride anything. He said, let everything get healed up. I was like, all right. So I went back to Weatherford, and then I was back and forth Weatherford and back at the ranch in Nebraska. And I thought, well, I'll enter some NSRA rodeos, which is Nebraska state, amateur rodeos. And I ended up winning that deal that year, and I was like, well, I think my elbow's good. I went to both. I went to quite a few PRCA rodeos. I think I made the circuit finals and that kind of thing, just making sure that elbow was all right. And after that, it was good to go.
Okay. No issue even today.
No. I had a brace built, and I used it a lot. But it never even got sore after that. Like I could take some pretty good yankings, and I got on Corona like, I don't know, 30 times.
Okay, of Sam's horse.
Of Sam's?
Yeah.
I think at least, I don't know, I lost track at 29 or 30, 31, I don't even know.
Yeah.
And he wasn't easy to ride, so my elbow was fine after that. Old Tandy, he fixed it up.
Okay. And I remember in the early 2000s when you got your card and you started coming, we'd see you up in the Northeast. We'd see you at Benton and Ford City and some of these other rodeos there.
Yep.
Of the horses, so just be thinking through that time period, what are the ones, you talk about Corona, Sam's horse, what were some of the horses where you went, man, if I could draw this horse, this is the one I want? Of all the contractors that were out there that you were riding, what were like your top 3? Man, if I can draw these, I'm going to smoke it.
Well, 2 of them would have been Sam's, okay. Corona and Big Gun.
Big Gun.
The Big Bay.
Mm-hmm.
He had horses that were a lot nicer to ride, but I still had that mentality that, if he wasn't yanking on you a little bit, you probably weren't getting on a real true live bucking horse.
Mm-hmm.
And, I tease all them guys that get on them little hoppers that, they'd have to, sometimes they'd beat me if I didn't get on the right one, and I'd be like, well, you could ride him with a main hold,
Right.
I just give them hell. But no, I mean, I would hate to guess how much money I won on Corona over the years.
Okay.
There was quite a few horses.
Yeah.
I think probably the rankest horse I ever got on in my entire life was Commotion of Benny Butler's.
Okay.
He turned back at Greeley with me that year. I got on that horse 4 times, but at Greeley that year, it was early in the year, and he was ranked that day. I know he after the whistle, he threw me off so hard that when I got up, I was headed towards the roping box instead of the bucking chutes.
Oh, wow.
And old Benny was hollering at me, "You come this way, buddy. Going the wrong way."
Yeah.
Where you headed? I'm like, I don't know. But there was some, like 3 Bar J had a little roan horse. I don't even know what he called her. Every time I got on her, I was like 88, 89.
Oh, wow.
She was phenomenal. He had a little paint mare that was the same, just about the same tracks and everything. There was a lot of them that I got on that I really, really liked. Mike Ladding, you get on about every one of his. I don't know, that old paint horse, no telling how much money I've won on him, of Ladding's, I don't know. There was even a horse the other day that we bucked to his that I'd been on a bajillion times, and he still had the same tracks, and I still kind of cringed when I tripped the flank on him the other day. I was like, man, I'm glad that ain't me on him.
When you traveled, did you keep a book of the bronc? Did you make notes? No? No?
No, I used to, and then after it, I used to especially in the PRCA, because them guys that would try to change names on horses that, to get you to come get on them when they were miserable eliminators, they changed the names on you. And so there for a while I had a book, but for the most part, I always remembered the really bad ones, and I always remembered the really good ones.
Okay.
I always forgot about them horses that you won second or third on, But no, I never did. I started one a long time ago, and then I just kind of, I was like, it don't matter. I'm going to get on them or anyway. So,
right.
I'll remember him about the third jump. I'll go, oh yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
and then by the third jump, you go, oh yeah, I've been here. I know this one. Okay.
Yeah. You're getting the corn yanked out of you, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this one.
So shifting to the regionals, finals, and that sort of thing. You had declared and rode for 3 or 4 years in the Central region. Now, was that's not Ohio, was it, or is it?
No, that was like I think that's Indiana and Illinois and Missouri and Wisconsin.
Okay.
Something like that.
You were leaving in Camden and living in Camden and mostly traveling that way then? You declared?
No. I never worried about that region stuff much.
Okay.
That for me, that was just another finals to go to.
Right.
But it wasn't, was never really on my radar as far as trying to win it or anything like that,
Okay. And in the Central region, I have that you won the Saddle Bronc Central region title 2 times, the all-around Central region 3 times, and then you shifted to the Northeast. And there were 2 years that just absolutely positively stood out. 2007, you win the Northeast region, bareback riding, saddle bronc riding, and all around, and you duplicated that again in 2009. So all in, you had won 11 regional titles, which then qualified you for the all-region finals, and you won 5 times down there. You won the bareback bronc ride champion. Talk a little bit about that all-regional final. Was that similar to the international finals rodeo?
Yeah, it was good. I know for, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years it was Fort Pierce, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always a good break to get out of cold country and go down there. And it was always fun. Sam brought horses and I can't even remember who all brought horses, but I just remember Sam always bringing, he'd bring his A team down there and I, you either going to win or you're going to eat dirt.
Yeah.
When Sam would bring his good ones,
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun. And again, it wasn't a deal where I was, out to win it. I was just there to try to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was just like going to another rodeo for me.
Okay.
That they'd give you trinkets at the end of it.
Right.
It was a lot of fun there for a few years when they'd give you saddles and stuff. I think it moved to Montgomery, Alabama for 2 or 3 years there or something like that. They give saddles and everything for the region, and those are pretty nice. That was a lot of fun back then.
Okay. And when you talk about Sam and Rawhide Rodeo, you gotta put into the fold St. Pete, Quebec.
Yeah, that's my favorite rodeo.
So talk a little bit about that. When did you first go up there? When did you first see it? And what was your impression?
It'd have been '03. Would have been my first time up there. And I thought, because I'd been to all of them. I'd been to Calgary and Houston and San Antonio and Pendleton, and I've been to all them good rodeos. And for me, the atmosphere at St. Tite is hands down as good or even better than the NFR.
Really? Okay.
For me,
Okay.
like especially if I was a competitor, I would say that St. Tite is going to be right in there with the NFR.
Really?
Atmosphere and how loud it is and how the crowd gets into it, and I thought, man, I have never seen anything like this. It's 8:00 at night and there's 7,500 drunk Frenchmen screaming at you to do good.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the music's loud and the horses buck, and there was years at St. Tite where Calgary brought their B team horses over there, so there were just big fat hoppers, and it was so much fun for me. And that rodeo was always really good to me and stuff. Like I always drew good there, and I mean I'd always get on 14 or 15 or 16 or 17 head in a week, but
yeah.
I was always tired by the end of it, but it was so worth it for me. I thought that was so much fun. I think the best year I ever had there, I won like 17,000, 3 or 4 coats in 1 year. So it was awesome.
Yeah. And all that money counted for the IFR or the IPRA championship.
Yeah. Yep.
And would you go up? You talk about 16, 18, 20 head, how many you got on up there? So you'd go up and stay the full 10-day period?
Well, it wasn't. I don't remember what year he started it, Sylvan and them guys, but they had that first weekend. They turned it into the Canada Cup.
Oh, okay.
So we would go to all them rodeos through the summer to qualify for the Canada Cup.
Okay.
So the first weekend, it's Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday morning at 11, and then the short round would be Sunday afternoon at 4. So I would get on a bareback and a saddle bronc at 1 in the afternoon, and then I'd get on a bareback Saturday night, and then I'd get on my second saddle bronc Sunday morning at 11, and then I get on 2 more in the short round. Generally, if you made the short round.
Yep.
So that was a pretty good warm up for the week. That was always the first weekend, and then so yeah, I was there for 10 days every time.
Okay. And do you remember, is there any one particular short round or afternoon or just anything that really stood out for you at St. Pete?
Probably the year that I got to get on Chester was a big one for me. I drew around that horse for, 12 years or so in the PRCA, and that horse was bareback horse of the year in the PRCA. Went to the eliminator pen every year. And he was prestigious, to be able to get on him. I mean, he was no fun at all.
Yeah.
And he was a whole lot of work. But as far as something that really stood out, I got 2 stories, but he was one of them. That horse felt like a different horse every jump. I'd never been on anything like him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'd been on a lot of bareback horses by the time I got to get on him, but he felt like a completely different horse every jump.
Yeah.
And then, he'd been to so many rodeos and bucked so many times that when the whistle blew and I went to jump off of him, he went ahead and made sure that he stepped on me just because.
Just because. Okay.
And just drove me into the dirt. I was like, yeah. Tip my hat to him. I was like, that's a fucking horse right there.
Right. Right.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, one year I had Mardi Gras the first weekend in the short round in the bronc riding for the Canada Cup. I won it on him.
Okay.
And then I messed around and drew him again for the rodeo, the short round. And I won it on him again. I won 2 different years on the same horse of, the horse was a great big white horse called Moby Dick of Jim Lawrence's.
Okay,
he's from, he's from, I don't know. He's
Out
from
west.
Canada. But
Yep. He's out west.
He's like Saskatchewan. I think he's from Saskatchewan. But so there's a couple of them. You know, Sam had. You remember Sam's horse, the bareback horse that he got from Mike Ladding, the bay and white paint. He called Sundown.
Yep.
I got on him and won the short round on him the first week, and then I drew him the second weekend, won the short round on him. And as soon as they took my rigging off of him the second week, he went back there and laid down, died of a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stories I could tell you about St. Tite, you know, that really stand out. There's tons of them.
Yeah. So you've named a lot of horses. You named some horses earlier when I said which were the ones you wanted to get on. You talked about Corona. You talked about Big Gun. You talked about the rank commotion of Benny Butler's. Which horse, and now all these, which horse did you win the most on? I mean, one horse where you said, hands down, I won the most money on that.
It's got to be Corona.
Okay.
I think I won rounds at the IFR on him. I won every big rodeo that Sam ever had on him. I won on him at St. Tite. It would have to be him, because I have no idea how many times I've been on him, but it was a lot.
Okay.
You know, and he was an idiot. I mean, a retard in the box. Right. He kicked it like he'd break them 2x12s. He'd break them in half, kicking it, and he was a bronc. But I think the best I ever had him feel, I'm pretty sure you were announcing it, was at Benton, and it was almost hailing. It was raining so hard.
Yeah.
When I nodded my head, and he turned out of there and got in the middle of that great big mud hole.
Yeah.
And he was in one spot.
Yeah.
And then he kind of turned back and come right back to the chutes and run into the chutes.
Yeah.
And bucking blind. I was like, man, that's the easiest I've had, old Yeller. Like, it should rain more often like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd hate to guess how much money I won on that horse, but because I told Sam one time, I said, when you get ready to retire, old Yeller, I said, send him to my house. He can die there.
Okay.
Because he's paid for a lot of stuff for me.
Yeah. And you talk about full-time riding and big money that you won on Corona and all these other horses. It's expensive to go down the road, travels and all that sort of thing. You had some sponsors. One that stood out that I saw on your Facebook page, Tommy Cooper. Yeah,
the Tommy Copper, it was...
Copper, okay.
Yeah, it was copper-infused compression wear. Really, Rick Samuels is the one that got me that. Somehow or another, he knew Tom Kalich, the guy that invented it, and they wanted to do athletes. And at the time, I was kind of a hot item, I guess, back then. And they put me on the phone with them. Of course, these guys are New Yorkers, you know, from New York City.
Oh, okay.
And I did my best talking that I could do. And they're like, when can you fly out? And I'm like, I guess whenever. Right, as long as it's through the week. And I think they flew me out there that next week, and we signed a contract, and it was a great deal for about 3 years.
Really? Okay. So it really helped going down the road.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And the products work too. Like I still to this day wear it.
Oh, really?
And
okay,
I wear
great.
Yeah, I wear the t-shirts, and and the shorts, and Tate, he rides with stuff like that. You know, he uses all that stuff still. So
Okay. So let's shift to after retirement. So you retire basically when you were done, Shawn?
well, no, I mean I never really officially retired.
Okay.
I was still riding um, barebacks and saddle broncs, and then COVID come around,
Okay.
and I was just going to ride saddle broncs.
Okay.
And you know, because Cole was hired to trick rope and you know do his acts with his whips and stuff. And so wherever he was hired, I was just going to enter it. You know,
Okay.
try to pay for some fuel, and then COVID come around and shut everything down, and you know, we didn't do anything but you know ride colts and haul horses across the country and drink beer.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I kind of discovered that you know there's about 20 extra pounds on me now that I've never seen a bucking horse before. So I'm like, well, I think I guess I'll just quit. I guess, you know. But I never told anyone or anything. I just I started picking up, and that was the end of it, you know.
Okay. So what was the last bronc you were on?
I don't even know.
Okay. Okay. Pre-COVID? You haven't been on anything since COVID?
I haven't been on a saddle bronc since COVID or before COVID. There's whatever, whenever that come about. I don't even remember for sure.
Yeah, that would have been 2020. So no broncs, no barebacks, no saddle broncs since that time.
Yeah, no, I ain't been on nothing other than you know, a few colts and stuff that hog around there a little bit.
Okay. So
make me breathe hard. That's about it.
Understood. So you live in Camden with your kid, and you talk about Tate, and you talk about Kole. So Tate has been doing some bronc riding.
Yep.
Right? Did I see the IMRA Super Senior Saddle Bronc Riding Champion?
Yep.
And the IPRA Central Regional Tour.
Yep.
Okay. Is he going hard? I know he's eavesdropping on us. He can hear us talking. Has he been going hard? Does he have plans to go hard?
Yeah, he's got big plans, but he's just 16, so.
Oh, he is. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm keeping him grounded until he's ready to be turned loose.
Okay. And when do you figure that is? When do you figure that? Is that age?
I think I'm going to keep him kind of under my arm for another year.
Okay. Okay.
And then you know, then by then he should be ready to kind of roll, you know, and go on his own and be ready for all the horses that kind of really don't buck, but he's going to have to learn how to ride because he's been getting on good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's going to have to learn how to ride them ones that nobody really wants to get on too.
I see. And he's focusing just on saddle broncs, no barebacks, none of that?
Yeah, he'll ride the bucking machine a little bit with a rigging, but for the most part, just bronc riding right now.
Excellent. I did see a video of him on the Facebook page, and looks good. 16 years of age, looks really, really good. Good form, good pace. And Kole, he's been doing some pickup. Has he been picking up with you?
Yep. Yeah, he's been picking up with me for about 4 years now, I guess.
Okay.
Picking up, and then of course he's got his tricker open, and then he's got another act that he does with whips.
Yeah.
And stuff. So he stays pretty busy with that stuff. I guess the Miss America pageant just booked him for some deal in Illinois in January. So
fun. Very nice.
He gets to go show off for the women.
There you go. There you go. What's he taking? Trick roping, or is he going to take his whipbacks? What?
He's doing both.
He's doing both.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, he's going to trick rope, and then he's going to do his whips and all that stuff. So
Well,
both of them doing good.
Good. That's excellent. That's excellent. And how many rodeos are you guys working a year even today?
I don't know. Probably about 30 performances or so.
Really? Okay, so you're
Something
still
like that.
going pretty good.
Yeah, we stay busy.
Yeah.
We stay busy for sure.
And then do you have any broncs or bulls at the house? Anything like that?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Yeah, we got broke saddle horses that are Tate's practice horses.
Okay.
So as far as the bulls go, Cole's got some minis and stuff. He's got a little red cow that will run over everybody.
Okay.
But I don't. We don't have anything big, as far as bucking bulls go.
Yeah.
If I don't have nothing to do, I don't want to do nothing. And because whenever you don't have something to do, you can always go fix something that them bulls toy.
That's right. Yeah.
If you get bored. So.
You talked about that in the last episode, how nice it was to have them bulls up in the feed lot so they weren't tearing fences down out in the pasture.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So are you still welding?
Just for myself.
You are. Okay.
Yeah. I got everything a guy can possibly need to build just about whatever, but we primarily focused on my little transport company and riding colts at home.
Okay.
That's about it.
That's about it. And when you talk about a transport company, one rig on the road, how many, what are you pulling with? What are you pulling?
Yeah, we just have one rig on the road right now.
Okay.
And it's a run from Peoria, Illinois to Albany, New York twice a month. And then from Peoria to over by Oakley, Utah, once a month.
Now, is that the run you're pulling right now? Or are you going out for Thanksgiving? No?
Yeah, no, we're doing that run right now. And then Tate's going to the Wrights' bronc riding school.
That's right. Okay.
So we just put it all together to where we could make that run and do it all at once.
Is that Tate's first bronc riding school he'll be attending?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
First one he's ever been to, except for me, chewing his ass. That's about it.
Right. And he's not in the Leftwich saddle yet. He's got another saddle that he's riding.
Yeah, he's riding a doll right now. My left switch is maybe just a tick too big for him still.
Okay. And how long is that bronc riding school out there with the right?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days.
Oh wow! So you'll be there the whole time. You guys will all be there.
Yep. We're trying to make sure we outrun this snowstorm that's about to blow through Wyoming and Utah.
Okay.
At the moment, so yeah, Sunday we should be smooth sailing to come home that night.
Okay. And as we've been talking, have you made it to? Let me think. You're going across on 70. Have you made the Illinois state line yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we crossed into it.
Okay, so you're hustling right along. One other thing that I read, you had interest at one point about to wanting to be a rodeo coach.
Yeah, I had some people approach me about it.
Okay.
And I was kind of all for it, other than, once I got to thinking about what it paid, I probably did enough babysitting at home.
Yeah.
That I didn't have to go to, babysit other people's kids and try to coach them and stuff.
And try to bail them out.
For what it paid, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm all right. But
yeah.
I mean, I'd still probably do it if the right opportunity, presented itself.
And a Shawn Minor type shows up, and next thing you know, he's in Mexico, across the river, something about a stolen horse, Yeah,
Yeah,
how do you deal with that, Shawn? How do you
yeah.
deal with that?
Well, we just laughed about it because it wasn't me that stole the horse, but it was
Right,
two of
right,
my buddies.
right.
And when they about drowned in the Rio Grande River,
Hmm.
uh, that kind of, well, I mean, I was still laughing about it, but people that know me very well, they know that I laugh about stupid stuff all the time. But uh, and I'm still laughing about that today because I'll never forget it. When they hit the river,
Yeah,
it was splash, 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 and then all of a sudden, all three of them disappeared. The
yeah.
horse and both cowboys, and the only thing you could see was two cowboy hats floating down the
That's
river.
what I was going to ask, if you could see the
And
cowboy hat. Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty funny. Kent Cox, the guy that used to take care of Bushwhacker,
Uh-huh.
he was one of them, and Cole Dowdy was the other one.
Oh, wow.
And that was them two that stole that horse out of that little village in Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was quite the experience. We had burro races, and then we got run out of the bar because the burros, they was worried about them crapping on the floor, and
Right,
the whole
right.
deal. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Been poking around on your Facebook page, and to our listeners, there, Shawn has a great Facebook page out there. It's called Shawn Miner Official Fan Page. I put the link in the listener notes, so wherever you're listening to this, you can go find it in the notes. Click on it; it's going to take you to his Facebook page. On it, there were a couple things that I saw, Shawn, that I want to talk about. First, the Cowboy and Arena Champions Hall of Fame in 2020. You were inducted into the class with the all around, and that was Kerrville, Texas, I believe. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a great honor for me to get selected for that. Very surprising for one thing, but mostly very humbling experience. They put me in there with the likes of Skipper Voss and
Oh, wow.
some of the greats, and it was funny. I was having a conversation with Skipper, and of course we knew a lot of the same people, and I said somewhere my mom has your autograph that I got from you, and I said the only autograph I ever got in my entire life. And he said, "Are you kidding?" And I said, "No." No, he said, "How old were you?" And I said, "I don't know, probably about 6 or 7." And he goes,
Oh, wow.
"Jesus." He's like, "Boy, he said, we're getting old." He said, "Well, I'm getting old." And I was like, "Well, no, it's an honor to be standing here, with all these guys." And it was a pretty neat story, pretty neat time to just to experience all the stories and stuff with them guys. It was a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations on that induction into the Hall of Fame. Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved.
I appreciate it.
And another thing I want to point out, and our listeners, you got to go to his official fan page. There's a picture of saddle, and I've seen a lot of pictures of a lot of saddles. And how many saddles are in that picture?
I think actually there's only like 46 or 48 in that picture.
Okay, and only 46 or 48. How many total could you have could you pulled out to put on display? How many?
71, I believe.
71 saddles. You have one. I want to be clear. You have one in rodeo riding bucking horse.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's the plan with all these saddles? Are you guys using some of them on a regular basis?
Really, there's only a couple that we use. One of them was a certificate that I'd won, and I got to pick the tree that I wanted, because we ride ranch cutters, and them old roping saddles, they don't cut it for me. I can't they're not comfortable and stuff. So, but as far as what they're going to do with them, I don't know. You're going to have to ask these kids because I have no idea. They're going to be theirs.
Well, they'll be on when the Minor Rodeo Museum is built in the Shawn Minor wing, because we've got Tate, we've got Kole, still got to have their own wings of this museum. I'm going to come up and I'm going to walk through all these saddles, and it's going to take a while to get through 70 saddles. By the time you read on the fenders all the different titles and where they were won, and that.
Yep. It'll take a little while because there's. I think the first one was in '89.
Oh wow!
And then I don't remember when the last one was, but yeah, there's some history there, a few years worth of conversation anyway.
You bet. Well, I appreciate this conversation today, and I've got one last question. Okay, you've been on a lot of interviews. TV and radio and newsprint. I've read about you in magazines, the net, lots of information out there about you. So in all the interviews, right, what question have you never been asked that you would like to be asked, and what is your answer to that question? I'll give you a.
Well, the only one that I can really come up with, because I've been asked a lot of crazy questions.
Yeah.
And especially in Quebec, they would ask, you wear boxers or briefs.
Really?
But
okay.
They ask you everything up there. I was never asked when I was going to retire.
Okay.
I was never, I don't know. That's probably the biggest one, because I know the last few world titles that I won, I was wanting to be done.
Really? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were always so focused on, next year.
Yeah.
What are your big goals for next year? And I'm like, I don't have any.
Okay. Right.
The one guy, especially in Oklahoma City, he's like, well, that's what you said last year.
Yeah.
I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
I said, I probably told you that the year before that too.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you probably did. And I'm like, well, I don't have any goals. Yeah. I'll set them goals when I enter a rodeo. And when I get there, I see what horse I got. That'll be my goal.
That'll be your goal. So let me do this, Shawn. Okay. Let's imagine, we'll do a little role play here. Let's imagine it's 2015, January of 2015. You just wrapped up the IFR. And by the way, you won the average in the bareback bronc riding. You just won the bareback bronc riding world championship. And you won the all-around championship. So I got to ask you, Shawn, when are you going to retire?
I'll let you know.
Would that have been your answer? You were tired at that point.
Yeah. And that, like I'd had I'd been having some bad headaches and stuff. And,
okay.
And I went to the All-Star deal in Denver, and I didn't really get hurt there, but I knew I'd messed my neck up somehow, and whatever. And so finally I come home from that, and I was like, man, I think I need to go get the doctor to look at my neck or something. And I'm not a doctor fan, but anyway, so I go and they take some x-rays, and this doctor, he's a family doctor, and I hauled some of his thoroughbreds around for him, and we're friends and whatever. And he took the x-ray and he stuck it up there and flipped the light on, and he goes, so when did you break your neck? Twice. And I said, okay. Twice? I said, I never broke it even once. He goes, yeah, you have. He said, you've never been in a halo? And I said, nope. He said, well, you should have been twice.
Really?
I'm like, well, never was. He's like, well, you need to quit, retire, the whole deal, blah, 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 on and on. And I was like, well, Doc, I'll let you know when I do.
Okay.
So, because At that point, I was tired and didn't want to do it a lot anymore, but still had that fire inside me, where, I still wanted to go and still wanted, to have that feeling of winning and dominating the horse that no one likes getting on and that kind of thing, but it was still there. And then I kind of, after the whole COVID deal, I was like, you know what? I'm not sore. I don't hurt anywhere really, other than my back, and that's from, years and years of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just going to be done. And I just kind of put it in my head that, I don't desire it. I don't have any desire to do it anymore. And everybody, even today, people are on me all the time. Man, look at all the money you're leaving on the table. I'm like, yeah. So, somebody asked me not too long ago, why don't you crack back out and go win another world title? And I said, well, what was wrong with the first 23 world titles I won? I didn't do them right, or what?
Right,
why do I need another one? What do I have to prove?
Always more, right? Always more.
And I was like, I'm good, man.
Okay. And how is your neck now? Any issue that?
Oh, it's full of arthritis and everything else, and
headaches.
It don't bother me too bad anymore.
Okay. Well, that's a big old question I asked, and I like the answer. I'll let you know when I want to retire. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I would have told him too. So
absolutely, yes. And I gotta thank you again, Shawn, for being on the podcast. This has been another great conversation, and really cool that the boys, Tate and Kole, could be along with you there. And to Tate, good luck, have fun, ride for ride, and pick up on what your dad said. Do the best you can do with the bronc that you got, right? And that's all the pressure he needs, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it's great that you can share all this wisdom with our listeners, and I appreciate it, Shawn. So safe travels, and beat that snowstorm to Utah if you can.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
We hope that you enjoyed this second episode of our podcast with Shawn. If you do, please share it with your friends. To make your listening easier, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Search for Beyond the Chutes and follow us. A reminder, check out Shawn's Facebook page, the official fan Facebook page. It's going to be in our links, so just click and follow it. And we'd like to say thank you to ParaSight Systems for their support with our podcast. ParaSight System is a push-button parasitic diagnostic system for pasture animals, your horses, your cattle, your goats, and for companion animals, your dog and your cat. You can find them at ParaSightSystems.com. And remember, we got a coupon for 50% off your testing kits. BTC 023, again for 50% off. This is Beyond the Chute with Shawn Miner. Until next time, thank you for listening.